Welcome to another episode of Parenting Pep Talk, everybody. This is just you and me, where I'm sharing some key tips, strategies, tools, lessons, all these different things that I kind of cover. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is something that is really kind of going on in our society right now, and that's youth sports. Obviously, that is a very popular thing for our kids. And right now, especially with baseball starting up, Little League has started up. I know spring trainings in full swing, and I know the spring ball for Little League is going on as we speak. So, one of the questions that I am often asked is about my coaching experience and how I was able to coach and be a dad and separate the two things. And here's the thing. I have, over the years, coached thousands and thousands of kids, countless. I don't know how many there are. There's thousands and thousands. I coached my boys from the ages of 4 all the way up through high school. I even continued coaching beyond, after my youngest graduated high school. I still continued coaching for another couple years just because I loved it so much. And so I wanted to just kind of share some of my strategies that I used, not only as a coach, but as a dad, and how I was able to, I guess, successfully incorporate the two or separate the two in their respective roles. And so I just want to cover some things for you guys because I get asked, how do I do it? How did I do it? How did I separate being a dad and being a coach? And there's a couple things that I used to do. First of all, if you're interested in coaching your kids in youth sports, whatever the case may be, soccer, football, baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever it is, and you're considering doing it, the first thing that I want to encourage you to do, and this is something that I did with my boys every single year, before I took on the role as a coach, I asked them for their permission. I asked them if they wanted me to coach their team. That gives them, that kind of takes the pressure off of them. So if they want you to coach, they'll tell you. When they're younger, they will typically tell you they want you to coach. They will typically think it's pretty cool that their dad's coaching. They think that there's going to be special favors, special little rewards for their dad being the coach. And so they will typically want you to coach their team. When they start to get older, that could change. My younger son was okay with me coaching through the years. My older son, however, I finished coaching him at the junior high level, and he didn't want me coaching him into the high school level. He did not want me to continue coaching. So I actually didn't coach him through high school, which was fine. That's what he wanted. I asked him his permission. He said, no, I do not want you to coach. I want to do this on my own. And I was totally fine with that and respected that and didn't coach him. My younger son didn't mind. He was good with it. So I coached my younger son through high school. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure you're asking your kids for permission. And obviously, if you're married, ask your spouse for permission too, because as we know, when you're coaching, especially when you get up into the higher levels, meaning high school, maybe junior high, high school, your practices and games will tend to be a little bit later. And that could potentially leave your spouse at home by herself. And they call that a coach's widow. So ask permission. Make sure your family's good with you coaching. Second, if you're working in a corporate role, got a corporate job, maybe you're an entrepreneur running a business, make sure that your time, that you're able to separate that time. Make sure you're able to get that time for your coaching, because it's going to be a lot of responsibility and it's going to take up a lot of time. So make sure you have the time available to coach. That's the second thing. And then before you start getting into coaching your kids, you want to sit down with them and actually have a discussion with them and say, hey, look, you need to set ground rules. Here's some ground rules that I want to cover with you, and I want to hold you to them, and I want you to hold me to these ground rules as well. Number one, you want to make sure that your kids understand that when you are on the field or on the court, you are coach. You are no longer dad. You have to keep that role, dad and coach, separated. So when you're at practice, they cannot be hollering out to you as dad. They have to holler out, they have to call out to you as coach. So that's number one. That is very important. That separates them from being your child. That separates them from having, getting special treatment, being favored over other kids. And other kids won't picture them being your child at practice. They will see that your son or your daughter as another player. So you need to make sure that you set that ground rule that they are your player and you are their coach, not their dad. Okay. Second, absolutely 100% no favoritism. If your player or your son or daughter is goofing off, is not paying attention, is uh, disobeying, not giving you respect as a coach, you need to set them aside. You need to take them off the court, off the field, and sit them aside, just like you would with any other player. If a player's mouthing off to you, not paying attention, you're going to say, hey, you need to sit down. And when you want to start acting and listening to what the coaches are telling you, you can come back in the practice or in the game. But for now, you're going to sit. You need to do the same with your son or your daughter. That level has to be drawn. That line in the sand has to be drawn with them. So make sure that you're doing that as well. All right. Number 3, when it comes to your games, this is where it can get really tricky because a lot of parents that are sitting on the sidelines watching their kids playing for you as their coach, you want to make sure that you're not giving your kid any special favoritism. If your kid does not deserve to start in a game, absolutely 100% do not start them. If your kid is just having a rough game, they're not playing at their best, absolutely do what you have to do to get them set straight or pull them out of the game. Don't be afraid to do that. You have to make sure that other parents see that you're not favoring your own child. So make sure that that's in place. My wife used to get frustrated with me because especially when our boys were a little younger, if they were screwing off or they were not having the best game, I sat them. They sat. They didn't play. And if they didn't deserve to start, I didn't start them. Now, I'd have to hear it a little bit from my wife on the way home. And I would have to explain to her, listen, I have to make sure that I'm being fair across the board. And that means every kid is treated equally, regardless of who they are. And that means for your kids as well. So my wife understood that. She didn't like it, but she understood it. She understood what I was trying to do. And that made it a level playing field for all the kids. And not only that, you gain a lot more respect from the parents that are the parents that are on your team, the parents of the players that are on your team. You gain a lot more respect when you treat everybody equally, regardless of the relationship they have with you. So that has to be drawn right there. There's no question. There's no wavering. There's no, you can't sway from that at all whatsoever. The next thing I want to kind of cover with you is, listen, depending on the age of the team that you're coaching, you don't want to make sure you're organized. I had very structured practices. I had very structured game plans, even when my players were, 6, 7 years old. I had very structured practices and game plans. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that my players understood the game. I wanted to make sure they understood how to get better. And that was from organized practices. And when they played in the game, that was from having a set structure in the game. I wanted to make sure that they got better. And in order to do that, my practices and games had to be organized. They had to be structured. So you want to make sure you're doing that. And listen, when it comes down to it, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing this. Obviously, when your kids get older, there's a lot more time you have to devote to it when you're looking at, especially when you get in a high school level, you're reviewing, you're looking at your opponent coming up, you're kind of looking at, games that they've played in to kind of see what the skill set is of their players and how they play defense and all those kind of things. But when the kids are younger, it's more of this kind of rec ball time, and everybody plays a certain amount of time. There's certain rules that the leagues set up. That kind of thing, you have to just roll with it. I understand it's not always the way we want it to be, but you have to kind of roll with it and just have some fun with it. I mean, don't overcomplicate it, is what I'm trying to say. And again, make sure you're being fair to all your players, including your own kids. And here's the bottom line, parents. If you're interested in coaching your kids, have fun with it. Enjoy these moments. Because listen, you get to take them to practice and enjoy watching them. You get to take them to games and enjoy watching them. Why not get involved? Why not participate? Why not be one of those parents that, hey, I want to step up and help out? Because listen, until you get into the high school level and college level, you're not making any money. Coaches don't make any money. It's all volunteer. So volunteer. And if you're really thinking about it, dads, and you're just not sure if you're cut out for it, don't overcomplicate it and try being an assistant coach instead of a head coach. I jumped right in, not intending to, but when my boys were, when my older son was 4 years old, I signed him up for Little League, and I actually wasn't even going to coach, but the board member that was sitting at the table signing players up asked me if I wanted to coach. And I said, nah, I don't think I'm really cut out for it. And he goes, so funny. He goes, dude, they're 4. He goes, I'm going to be pulling grass. Make sure they run the bases the right way and throw the ball and hit the ball. That's all you got to do. It's not that complicated. So I said, all right, I'll be an assistant coach. So I signed up for an assistant coach. And when we got to the time where we were supposed to have our first practice, the head coach called me up and said, hey, I have to back out. I can't coach. I have to back out. And no other assistant coaches wanted to step up, and no other parents wanted to step up and head coach. So I ended up stepping up. And the rest is history. I was a head coach from that point on, up until high school, and then I became an assistant coach with the high school level, because that was a little bit more involved, and I didn't quite have the knowledge that I needed, but I wanted to be an assistant coach at the high school level, and so I did that. But listen, if you're thinking about coaching your kids, again, ask permission from your family. Make sure they understand. Make sure your schedule is going to fit for it. There's going to be sacrifices you're going to have to make in your schedule to accommodate you being there at the practices and games. And obviously, most importantly, make sure you're not showing any favoritism toward your own kids, period. The line has to be drawn in the sand that they treat you like a coach and you treat them like a player, period. There's no way around that. If you can't do that, I recommend you not coach, because it's just going to cause problems, and it could cause potential frustration from other parents. They're going to think you're doing stuff that you're showing favoritism to your kid. And I never had that issue because I didn't show favoritism. If my kids were screwing up, they came out. So make sure you're not showing any favoritism. And like I said, have fun. These are memorable times. Your kids are going to be going through things, learning these sports and growing and developing. And this is an opportunity for you to participate. This is an opportunity for you to enjoy helping them get better in the sport that they want to get better at. And maybe you did or didn't play sports when you were younger, but at the end of the day, it's to help them get better and enjoy it. It goes by fast, and it's a long journey, but it goes by fast. So just enjoy it. Have fun with it. Enjoy watching your kids get better. Enjoy participating. Just make sure you have fun with it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, if you have questions, or maybe you're still kind of on the fence about it and you're just not sure, and you got some things that you need to work out, you're not quite sure how to work them out, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I have people all the time that ask me how I was able to do both, being a dad and a coach, and able to fit it in my schedule. There were various things that I did in my schedule that I had to kind of accommodate to work into being, a coach. So feel free to reach out to me. I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And I even have, ways that you can build practices and game structures. So feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you if you have questions, if you're thinking about being a coach. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think you should really consider it. If you're really thinking about it, jump in there and do it. Why not? You could try it for one season, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But feel free to reach out to me. And listen, guys, if you're not subscribed yet to my show, please make sure you subscribe to my show so you don't miss any of the guests that I have on or any of these parenting pep talks where it's just me and you. All right. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at Dad Up Podcast. Until next time, everyone, Dad Up.